The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 3rd day of February 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Happy Monday to everyone. How's everyone feeling? The first Monday of March. How's everyone? What did I say? I didn't say 3rd day of March. I said February, 3rd day of March. My apologies, Marquita Lee. 3rd day of March. My goodness, where am I? I'm still living in February. Thank you for that correction. Well, you know what? I met you the other night. It was a pleasure to meet you, Marquita Lee. I met so many people the other night. People kept saying, you look so different in person. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but, I'm just going to take it as a compliment. Yeah. I had I didn't have enough weekend. That's why I said February and not March, folks. I didn't have enough weekend. But how's everybody doing? How are you all doing out there? Yeah. See, what it is February, they cut us a few days short every year. So I just stuck on that. Anyway, greetings, everyone. And thanks for making this part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Sir John Swan on to discuss what he believes next for Bermuda. The Daily Play is a bit of Bermuda trivia today, And don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, folks, let's get to it. So we'll have a quick discussion brought to you by our friends at Secure and Titan. And then we'll bring Maya in for the Daily Hour news break. And then after that, we'll have Sir John as we normally do it. So let's show some love to our friends over there at Titan and Secure.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
Alrighty. Thanks again to Titan Express and Secure Trucking. So this morning's question is, you've seen the picture going around this weekend. You've seen it in the news, and Maya will probably mention a bit of it a bit later. But the premier did promise or make a statement prior to the election that he will work with the opposition. FDM and others. Well, there's a picture that, he met with the honorable former PLP leader and now FDM leader, Mark Bean. And, I believe he always meets with the opposition anyway. But people are mixed in their feelings about that this weekend. So I guess the question this morning is, how do you feel about the government's collaborative approach? Does it give you confidence? Or do you appreciate it? I mean, as critical as so many of us, I'm including myself in this, as critical as so many of us are when it comes to David Burt's leadership, could this be a positive? Could this be a good thing? Could this be a turning point? What are your thoughts? And here's a yes or no question. Are you optimistic about the government working with the opposition? Are you optimistic? Does it give you hope? Do you feel good about this? Yes or no? How do you feel about it? Do you feel good? Do you feel like, you know what, this could be the start of something great? Mark Arthur C. Phillips, he says yes, he does. Mark says yes, he's optimistic about the government working with the opposition. Anyone else optimistic about the government working with the opposition? And also, how do you feel about this collaborative approach? Look, at the end of the day, if there's not an election taking place, I believe that both sides need to work together. Unless there's an election where obviously both sides are fighting to lead Bermuda and govern Bermuda in the best interest of the people according to what they believe is best. But when the election's over, I'm pretty sure if we put ego aside, a collaborative approach is probably best. And collaborative approach, I hope, honestly means compromise, agreement, right? Understanding that although we have a majority, the opposition may have some great ideas, and the opposition being humble enough to understand that at times, things may not align with what they believe is best, the government. So they may move according to what they've promised their constituents that they would do. So, again, collaborative doesn't mean perfect. It just means the ability to do what all parties believe is best for Bermuda. So again, how do you feel about the government's collaborative approach? Again, some people saw the picture of the Honorable Mark Mean and David Burt and was like, oh, here we go, politics, right? Some people felt that way. But are you optimistic? Helene Swan says yes. She's optimistic. Shawnette Bell says yes, optimistic. Charles H. Jeffers II, he says, I think we have to be optimistic. Bermuda is at a pivotal point in our history. Everyone needs to put Bermuda first. Indeed. I think the only challenge with that, Charles, is what does that look like? Can we agree on what putting Bermuda first looks like? I think that's where the politics gets in, and they differ. Good morning to you as well, Kenton Trutt. He says, good morning, TDH family. Sahima Chaudhry says, I can't say that I'm optimistic about it, as they've genuinely had no interest in doing so before the election or the past 20 plus years, but I am still hopeful. That's fair. That's absolutely fair, Sahima. Kenton Trott says, I am optimistic. Okay. Kaji Matthew says, very optimistic. Okay. All right. Marquita Lee says, yes, very optimistic. She's yes, optimistic. Suzanne Ingham says, I think it's a front. I'm unsure. I'm watching beyond what is seen and said. Very leery. I really liked Mr. Burt when he first started, but over time that has dwindled. Okay. Nicole Walker says cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic. All right. So I think for the most part, everyone wants to give this a chance. And that's my hope. That's my hope, that egos can be put aside and we can discuss what may be in the best interest of the people. That may mean making decisions that may not be in the best, they may not believe is in their best interest, but long-term it is. That means having honest conversations with constituents now that the election's over. Yes, honest conversations with your constituents. The election's over. There's no need to canvass them right now. Be honest with them. Again, I appreciate seeing the picture of David Burt, the Premier of Bermuda, Diallo Rabin, the Minister of Cabinet Office, and the Honorable Mark Mean, leader of the FDM. I appreciated seeing it for one. Yes, it annoys me in one way, like seriously. But then I was in another, I'm like, you know what? If we can get past the picture and the building this image and do the work, I'm all for it. I am all for it, folks. I'm all for it. Renee Simmons says, I believe it will bring hope only if the premier is willing to put his arrogance aside and listen. Mark Bean was his mentor at one time, and collaborating will bring some sense of hope. Yeah, it's going to take humility. It's going to take humility. And my hope is that, I'm in Bermuda, and it's people's opinion. I said it on this show, and it was my perspective as well. And I stand by that at this time. This is not personal, but as a premier in my lifetime, the only premiers I can remember in my lifetime is Sir John Swan, Dr. David Saul, Dame Pamela Gordon, Dame Jennifer Smith, Alex Scott, Dr. Ewart Brown, Paula Cox, Craig Kennenair, Michael Dunkley, and now David Burt. Those are the premiers in my lifetime that I remember. Of those premiers, I've said it on this show, and people have said it to me when they've seen me, is David Burt is quite possibly the worst. No, that can change. He's got another 18 months. He can still go out on top. If CIT came to fruition, if once he's gone, the whole Bitcoin and fintech and all that stuff works out, opinions may change. There's still time. I think there's an opportunity here for the premier to go out on a high. Charles H. Jefferson II says, I think we will see how debates are conducted once there is reconvening of the House. Absolutely. Will they still be acting like children? I mean, there was not just the premier. There was Senator Lindsey Simmons extending an olive branch as well, right? So, again, I think that will be the determinant factor. Will the level of debate be a bit mature? More mature across the board? Kievan ABDA says, no matter what happens, I'm optimistic that things will come to the point where the best practical ideas will be paramount and have to be implemented. Appreciate that. All right, audience. This is the daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure Trucking. Look, we are having a conversation. Hey, look what else I got, guys. I got a new Daily Hour mug. Yeah, some new Daily Hour mugs. Look pretty cool. Do you want? I mean, I have to pay for this, by the way, because it wasn't given to me. So it'll probably be taken out of my next check, unless I did I just admit stealing on here? No, I didn't steal. I borrowed a mug for this morning to show you all what we have. So I didn't steal. All right, but yeah, this nice little mug. If you want one. We can do a little cheers in the morning. All righty. We've got Michelle White says, there was a change of messaging during the election from us to all of us. They have got the message, but I remain cautiously optimistic. That is absolutely correct, Michelle. The tone did change. Amari Simons, hey, met Amari Simons the other night as well. Nice to meet you in person, good brother. He's not angry. They call people like us angry and this and that. This is a concerned brother who loves his community, and a pleasure to meet you in person, Amari. But he says, withholding my optimism until I see a push for more transparency. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And Suzanne Ingham says, yes, you are very cool with that new TDH mug. I want one. We got you, sister. We got you. All right, folks, let's bring Maya in. It's been a while since she's been here for some, I guess she's forgiven me and decided to show back up to work. Sometimes people need time off from me, and it's just like, yeah. Nah, I was hitting up every day anyway. But anyway, let's one more comment before we bring the M to the P in. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, I hope our country's leadership understand that they set the tone for how the rest of the country interacts with each other. Absolutely. That's where leadership starts. And I think the tone has to change in the House of Assembly. I mean, I listened because I was genuinely interested in policy and legislation that was being debated and potentially passed or not. But I just couldn't take listening anymore because it was almost like it just became uncivilized. And that's me saying that, folks. Yeah, I don't have much room to talk. I think I got a joke for you all today. Maya needs a joke. It's been a while since she's been in the room with me. So we're going to give her a joke. We're going to give you a joke. But let's bring Maya in for Daily Hour News Break. Don't forget, we've got Sir John Swan coming up. Conversation beyond the election. Where do we go from here? All right, stick with us. Let's bring Maya in. This was the Daily Discussion brought to you by...
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com. your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And securebda.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty. Let's bring Maya in for the Daily Hour News Break.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, M to the P. How are you?
You know what? Feeling a lot better. Feeling a lot better.
Well, we love to hear that. Yeah, I haven't seen you since February. It's been a while.
Honestly, it has been a while, and I'll be honest to say that I was just down for the count, guys. I was ill, but I'm feeling a lot better.
Well, that's why I was bringing a joke today, because I thought my joke would make you feel better.
If it ends up making me feel worse, I'm gonna be very upset.
Why would any of my jokes make you feel like that? Like my jokes? I've come a long way, haven't I? No? Well, you know what? No. Don't answer that. I don't. Yeah. You like the new mug though?
Yeah, I do. I always
Yeah.
like the little speechy things. I do that a lot in my writing, so I like that.
Oh, okay. I think it's black though. It doesn't look. Yeah, I think it's black and white, so it went with neutral colors. But yeah, folks, Maya doesn't even have one yet.
I never get them.
Oh, you've got to be in the room and you see new stuff.
Exactly. Tea and shade, I'll throw it.
Yeah. So we've missed you. You haven't been on since before the election. You probably needed a break. And how was Costa Rica?
It was an amazing trip. I went ziplining. I definitely had a lot of fruit, which was really great. A lot of walking, which was even better because I do like doing that. And the beaches were beautiful. The sunsets there, I mean, they don't really beat Bermuda, but they were still gorgeous. So yeah.
She didn't want to get jumped, you all. She didn't want to get jumped. What you say about Bermuda?
I was expecting it to be better than what it was, though. So I was like, it's nice, but I've seen better.
All right. Spoiled Bermudians. Good sunsets and beautiful beaches. Can't get that better than Bermuda. Well, what you got for us today, MP?
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour News Break brought to you by the good people at People's Pharmacy. And as we discussed earlier already, we're going to be talking a bit about the politics and the new collaborations that have been going on. So in a push for greater collaboration, Premier David Burt has met with key political leaders to tackle Bermuda's pressing issues. Here's a little bit more to that. On Friday, February 28th, the Premier met with the leader of the Free Democratic Movement, the Honorable Mark Bean, to discuss areas of mutual interest. Their conversation focused on identifying opportunities to improve the lives of Bermudians through constructive cooperation. The Premier said, on Friday we took an important step forward, not as members of different political parties, but as Bermudians, committed to the hard work of building a stronger, fairer, more united Bermuda. We may not always agree, but what matters is that we find common ground where we can, push each other to be better, and never lose sight of the fact that the challenges we face belong to all of us. At the end of the day, the success of Bermuda isn't about one party, it's about what we can achieve together for our island home. Now, I reached out to the Honorable Mark Bean to just ask furthermore, what was in detail, what did they discuss? What did they talk about, or any promises made? And here's what he responded with in his statement to me. He said the meeting enabled a positive exchange of thoughts and ideas regarding the direction of Bermuda, our place in a rapidly changing world order, and the shift in thinking and action that is required for the political, cultural, and economic renewal of Bermuda. So very political response there, just letting us know, laying out that it seems to be a positive exchange back and forth between the two of them, and also mentioned in this statement that the Honorable Premier David Burt also spoke to Jaren Richardson, the opposition leader, which may come to a bit of a surprise for some, because in a statement prior to the election day, the Premier did talk about how he was gonna reach out to FDM independents, and didn't specifically mention the OBA. However, because he did say that the OBA was most likely to be the opposition, they're gonna be in talks anyhow if both of them, if the PLP and OBA become who they are. So yeah, which they have become.
I'm only smiling. Look, I want to speak about more positive stuff that's coming out of the House of Assembly and the Senate. I do. We need it, but I smile because no one from the FDM or no independents made it to the House. So I'm interested to see how long they'll be in the conversation. You get me?
See, and that's a good point too, because in the statement they did say, or the premier did say that afterwards, that they were planning to have these more regularly type conversations going moving forward. And he also mentioned about how they didn't kind of have some committees meeting as regular as they should have, and that now they didn't say straight out this was a mistake on their part, but this was something that was suggested that they did not implement, and they wish to now do that for 2024 moving forward, to meet more regularly and have these committees that were mentioned meet as well more regularly. And he spoke about accountability as well. So might be a shift in the air there, but we'll see when things actually happen, consistently.
All righty.
All right. So moving on to other news that has to do with our government and the tourism sector. So Teo did bring this to light in terms of the BTA and, their recent, the recent layout that they put when it comes to air travel coming to Bermuda and what we're looking at right now in terms of development, while there's also some other developments that were made with the Hamilton Princess. So the Bermuda Tourism Authority is seeing growth with a boost in visitor spending and new job opportunities. And the Hamilton Princess and Beach Club hosted a career fair, drawing a strong turnout of job seekers eager to enter or advance in hospitality. So the Tourism Minister, Owen Darrell, attended the fair, calling it an example of how tourism benefits the local workforce. He noted that Bermuda saw a 15% increase in leisure visitors last year, with a record-breaking $531 million spent by tourists, with a new hotel development and the upcoming Hillcrest Boutique Hotel in St. George's. Bermuda's hospitality sector is expanding and should potentially grow. So the minister, Owen Darrell, urged those who couldn't attend the career fair to explore openings online, saying tourism isn't just recovering, it's transforming, and Bermudians deserve to be a part of that opportunity. However, the recent statements from the Free Democratic Movement raise a contrasting perspective on the state of Bermuda's tourism authority. You would have heard this coming from the Honorable Mark Bean, and these were their remarks on what's happening right now. While the FDM acknowledges the rise in visitor arrivals and spending, they argue that the industry remains stagnant and continues to fail Bermudians, with the Bermuda Tourism Authority struggling to create sustainable job opportunities and expand beyond the U.S. East Coast market. The FDM is calling for a shift in tourism leadership and strategy. The party insists that while the numbers may be promising, true benefits for locals are yet to be seen.
I'm going to say this. Teo did it Friday, Maya did it Monday. They gave me an opportunity. But it seems like the Premier of Bermuda, the tourism minister, the FDM, the OBA, the BTA board, and the approximately 30 employees who have left the BTA in the last couple of years, all of them seem to agree on one thing: BTA needs new leadership. I guess the question right now is, how long will it take for the BTA to get that leadership? I'm not interested in the data at this point. It's past that. Leave it at that. Right. That would be some great collaboration to start. Just fix the leadership. Okay. I'm done.
Okay. Closing out with these two ending stories here. The third annual Black Vendors Market did happen over the weekend, hosted by Bacardi, putting it on and allowing us to have this again for the third year. If you missed it, you surely missed out, because it was a very large turnout. Our Simone Vaughn was on the scene that day, and here's her story.
Bacardi hosted its third annual Black Vendor Market this past Friday. Over 50 vendors participated in the market, making the festivities substantially larger than previous years. Many of the business owners represented here have other jobs or are in school. Nico Bean, a high school student, shares how important it is balancing school, business, and personal life.
It's actually very difficult balancing my lifestyle with my business, my personal hobbies, with school as well, because I go to an IB school, and for people that go to IB school as well, they know just how demanding it is. Lots of schoolwork. So I have to strategically work around my schedule to see when I can work on my business, make some paintings, work on the back end, but also get my schoolwork done, and also have some free time to myself as well.
Also a part of the market was Tiffany Painter of Treehouse Yoga, a previous guest featured on the Daily Hour.
Oh, this is the first time I've ever been part of the event. I'm super excited. I'm representing Treehouse right now. We're a yoga and wellness studio. specifically created to get more black and brown bodies and people trying yoga, trying Pilates, and interested in holistic wellness. We are 4 months old. We launched in November 4th, and we've had a great response from the community so far. And the energy of the day, as you may be able to hear me over the music, it's electric here.
Vendor markets like these give Black entrepreneurs the opportunity to not only be supported, but celebrated.
It was awesome, man. I absolutely loved it. It was so many people. They're going to have to either use the bottom lawn or put it somewhere else. I hope that's not the case because I love the venue, but props to Bacardi. Props, honestly, props. Oh. Come on, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, but props to them for putting this on. I mean, and to the community for supporting it, to the community. People, black, white, everybody was there supporting it. So I loved it. And if I saw you there, it was so great to meet you. I mean, I met Stacey Ann Brown. She's always winning here. I met Marquita Lee, another big time. I met so many others. It was so honestly great to see beautiful faces. You all are great. Sorry. Go ahead, Maya.
Yeah, I was upset to miss it. The first time that I did miss it, I was there for the first, the second, and then supposed to be home, but that sickness really took me out. So I know my sisters went and they had an amazing time and they bought a lot of products. So hopefully I get sent a couple of things.
See your sisters there?
Well, they were there.
I didn't see them this year. I saw them last year.
Maybe they were avoiding you.
I was going to say, what you been telling them about me?
We're going to close it out with some sports-related news. The Somerset Cricket Club officially announces that Mr. Gennaro Tucker has accepted the responsibilities of head coach at the club, succeeding Mr. Jeff Richardson for the upcoming 2025 cricket season. So congratulations to him and his new role.
Why are we you beat us enough playing. Now you want to continue beating us down? Have some respect for us. Like, can you just enjoy honestly, congratulations, man. I'm not talking trash this year.
Oh, sure.
I'm not. Have I said anything yet? That's one of my New Year's resolutions. Let my team do the playing on the cricket pitch. So far, I'm 2 months in, right? 2 months sober of cup match talk. You haven't heard anything. And with this appointment, it's going to be even harder. So I'm going to stay in my corner.
I'm going to pretend like you didn't just initially say something before you congratulated him. But continuing on with our weather today, it's looking like early rain and showers, but it should be easing a little later. Unfortunately, there might be a chance of a rumble or two, so just be wary of that if you hear it. Some strong gusts of wind as well going to happen today. So, grab your windbreaker. Be careful on those roads as always. And we got a high of 62 degrees today, so not that great.
Okay. Thank you, Maya. Not that great. I don't think I've done this joke before. Well, let's do days of the year first, since you don't want my joke. All right, days of the year. You know what today is, folks? Today is World Tennis Day. Tennis Day. Yeah. I've played tennis a time or two, but I don't have really a serve game. For some reason, it just keeps going outside the tennis court. But Maya, do you play tennis?
I've only played tennis probably twice.
Twice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I could beat you in that. Okay. Who's your favorite tennis player, audience? Who's your favorite tennis player, man?
I mean, currently right now, playing it's got to be Coco Gauff.
My former neighbor.
I'm gonna go with her, even though still Venus is probably still top, obviously. Just the history that she made, and also I love listening to her story and hearing the things she has to say when she says them. But yeah, Coco Gauff at present.
Okay.
She's a good entertainer, I think.
Okay. So she's going with Venus and Coco. Well, I mean, Coco and Venus for me. I don't want to pick the same as her, but yeah, I'll say that. Venus Williams says NTS. Yeah, Venus Williams, NTS. Okay, all right. And thank you, Miss Allen Kate, taking the high road regarding Somerset. Yes, I am. I forget what I said prior about him retiring. Maya, I've got a joke for you. All right. Have I done this one before? Maya, what kind of driver doesn't have a license?
Hopefully a drunk driver.
I like what you did there.
Someone with any DUIs. Go on.
Audience, what kind of driver doesn't have a license? Here we go. Get ready to laugh.
Okay.
A screwdriver. Stop. Stop. Calm down. Calm down.
I was genuinely getting ready to laugh. Like I was like in the whole smile motion, and then that just plummeted me down. Like, wow.
You're not sick again, are you?
We'll wait for it to kick in.
Okay. We've got at least Brenda Simons and Ms. Allen Kate and Polly Rich and Michelle White got it. They got
At least
it.
they all knew it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Thank you, Suzanne. My biggest fan.
I always think too logical when you say these jokes, and then they're like completely not logical at all.
Yeah, no. Logic's not needed to laugh. Maya, you have a wonderful day. We're gonna go to a break. We've got Sir John coming up, folks. Hopefully, Sir John found my joke funny. We'll see you soon.
He did.
Join us as we celebrate 5 years and 1,000 plus episodes of community conversations on Bermuda's daily talk show. The Daily Hour Gala takes place on April 26th at LF Wade International Airport. For more information and advance tickets, please send an email to admin@bermudacommunications.com. We look forward to celebrating all that's great about our community with all of you.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high quality functional products can be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Bermuda Trivia, the Black History Edition, is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com or email contact@bermudatrivia.com to learn more.
Hey, welcome back to The Big Show. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Health Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe to all of our social media channels and on our website. Follow us to get all the latest updates. Help us grow beyond the mic as we continue to do our part to improve our community. Without further ado, we've got Sir John Swan coming up. But real quickly, folks, you can, if you want early bird tickets, go on to the dailyhour.com and just scroll down and you can purchase your tickets directly there. No additional fees or anything like some of those websites, trying to do everything directly to you. But we'd love to see you all as we celebrate and a sense of community and the work that we've all done through our conversations to ensure that we have the opportunities to facilitate and engage with people like our guest today. So without further ado, let's give a warm TDH welcome to Sir John Swan. Greetings, sir. How are you?
How you doing?
It's nice. I'm great. It's nice to see you today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Wonderful Monday morning. A little cloud, but it's clearing up. And I hope everybody's in high spirit as you are. And so am I. So I hope that it's really out in the community itself.
Indeed. Well, thank you as always for making time for us, sir. And I got to ask you, it's World Tennis Day. Were you a big tennis fan?
Oh, yes. I love tennis. I play tennis, not competitive tennis, but I have a tennis court on my property, so obviously I played a lot of tennis on there.
Okay, love it. And who was your favorite tennis player? Did you have one?
I didn't have a, when Arthur Ashe was around, I was very proud of him. That's how far back I go. He was an unusual individual, a very gifted individual. And with the others, I mean, they came, they went. There will always be champions because somebody has to win, somebody has to lose.
Yeah,
So,
indeed.
So it's
and I remember Arthur Ashe was one of the first tennis players named I learned because of what he actually accomplished and what he did. So I know in my generation, most people would know Venus and Serena, but without Arthur Ashe, we probably wouldn't have even seen people like them. So yes, thank you so much, sir. But let's get into the conversation. We're almost 2 weeks past the most recent general election, where the PLP retained political power in Bermuda. Let's just start with the politics so we can get past it. But how are you feeling? You've had a couple of weeks almost to digest it. How are you feeling about the election results, and what shocked you most?
Well, I think that we all gave it a shot. I think everybody had goodwill, whether it was the opposition or whether it was FDM or whether it was the independent members. Everybody rose with optimism. That's what competition is all about. And I think that the result was what the public wanted, because the public votes MPs in that determines the government. So we have to accept the fact that those who didn't come out endorsed the fact that the status quo or that type of retention would remain the same. So you learn to live with that. I think the problem, the world is people want things and then they don't get them. Then they start to complain, but they don't participate in the process of trying to change things.
And you say that it's happened now, Master. We have a government for a maximum of at least the next 5 years, right?
That's right.
Where exactly do we go from here right now?
I think it's been this conversation already started, and I hope it continues, and I hope it's meaningful. I hope it's productive, and that is, the whole concept of independent members was to get people from different parts of the community to participate in a dialogue about Bermuda. We tend to in the past have had a dialogue of you like this and I like that. So it was the opposition, not the opposition party, but the opposition to ideas. But we never had a conversation that sort of finalized what we agreed and disagreed with. So I hope that this will give us a process of agreeing collectively that these are the things we need to do and how we can get them done.
Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Sir John, please send them through and I'll get through as many as possible. So you kind of just touched on the collaborative approach that the Premier seems to be taking. But has he reached out to you and any independents since the election? And what would be your thoughts? You kind of just said it, but what would be your thoughts about what you or others who are independent can add to what the government intends to do based on their platform?
I think every citizen, whether they were an independent candidate or what, should be able to try to help to figure this thing out. There's the social side of things and there's the economic side of things. If we can actually work on the social side, a lot of people can do a lot of things, a lot of people in the neighborhoods and everything else, while the financial side is the ability of the country to earn money and to look after its citizens. And that's a tough one, particularly in a changing world that we're in now. You see what's happening in the United States, you see what's happening in Europe, you see what's happening in England, and of course the world itself. That can be tough. But, I lived during the Second World War. I was born in 1935. The war started in 1940. By the time the war ended, I was 10 years old. We as a family of the community of Bermuda, we had rationing, but we shared but we knew there was restrictions, and we knew we had to use what we had. And I think we've got to a stage where, regardless of what's going on, we think that we're entitled to get what we want regardless. And it doesn't work. It's not going to work that way no more. I think that the President of the United States is just beginning to carve out a new regime for the United States. What it's going to be, I couldn't tell you what it's going to be, but it will not be what it used to be. And I think we have to sort of start figuring out what is it that we can do to enhance our own relationship with one another. So when one person falls, we all fall together, and have a conversation as to what contribution you can make. I was watching the Bacardi program and the merchandise and so forth. Bermuda still has an opportunity for agricultural based activity in backyards, gardens, and so forth, and being able to sell those products. We might have to find out that this international business is here, it's doing remarkably well, but it's not really filtering down to people who need to eat, have basic requirements for foreign jobs. That's the area to me. So we've got to raise hope for everyone. So when the tide rises, we will all have some way of rising together, as opposed to the tide rising in one area and sinking in the other area.
Yeah, got you, Sir John. There's been a lot of talk about the economy, right? You mentioned the social aspect. There definitely has to be a balance. But as far as the economy goes, people feel like the government has done a poor job. But what do you believe Bermuda needs to do, not only to grow the economy, but protect itself from what you just mentioned? You mentioned the impact that could possibly come from the way that the United States is moving under President Trump. What do you believe Bermuda needs to do to grow and protect itself at the same time?
Well, we need to, first of all, try to sort of be more cooperative and really figure out what's in Bermuda's best interest as opposed to what's in an individual's best interest. Being the fact that we're all citizens here and we all need to either get help or give help. And when we start to share our help on a social basis, you might not be able to do it on a financial basis all the time, and encourage people to do things. So you're not going to have any of these. When I bought the reinsurance business in Bermuda, it was a stroke of luck. That's what it was. I mean, you had this insurance industry that we knew something about, but very little about. And we managed to capture the moment. But we need to capture another moment for Bermuda. I don't know whether it's going to be fintech, cryptocurrency, or whether it's going to be getting more development take place in Bermuda, more companies coming into Bermuda. But we need to get when people see new things and they're successful, they feel good. When they get used to and they see old things, they just take it for granted. And in a sense, we in domestic Bermuda, not international, we in domestic Bermuda, have become very old. I drive through town, I see buildings with shutters up on them, buildings for sale. I used to be the center where you went and did things and so forth. We really don't have a plan that gets us excited. And now that the foreigner comes into Bermuda, and thank God he's coming, but he does things to help prop us up. But he can't do the things that we need to do for ourselves to really feel good about it. And so I think that we need to sort of have the conversation, I've always said it, that says we'll put some markers down. That's how we're going to achieve the redevelopment of Bermuda. Long-term plan, not only to look at Bermuda, but how Bermuda will fit in the new regime of the North Atlantic. After all, we're by ourselves. You have NATO, you just seen NATO close ranks on Trump in terms of what the United States president did with Zelensky of Ukraine. And the Europeans have closed ranks, want to help. And And so we have to sort of realize that there is a force going on. The North Atlantic could become much more active in terms of maritime, military, and strategic location.
Mm-hmm.
There are some opportunities for Bermuda right now. It's just like we just have in Microsoft putting a cable. We have to now sell ourselves on a bigger picture as what we are, what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
But we sit back and talk about, well, we're just going to take and accept our faith, get involved with things that really don't help us any. And anything that is further from people that can help us. I mean, Trump is in for 4 years, whether we like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
He's the master for 4 years. And not only that, he has Congress and he has support of the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
So again, building relationships with people that you might not agree with,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, they might be the only people you can turn to for help.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the type of things. So there's a big picture and then there's a small picture. The small picture being the fact that the Bermudian really sort of needs to figure out how we're going to make Bermuda feel good, feel better, paint up houses. Government gives money out. Maybe what we should do is find a way in which we give out paint and brushes, and people paint up things, make Bermuda. We'll drive around Bermuda and start feeling good. And I understand that we can get our roads start to be fixed up. I mean, we've had a demoralizing conversation about roads, about hospital not being functioning well, about the healthcare system itself, the education system being undefined. I mean, they are the children of the future.
Mm-hmm.
All these conversations should be positive conversations. And we've got to sort of say, well, it's not a question of who's in charge, but who can help to produce the best results. That's what's important.
Mm. Indeed. And thank you. That was a lot, but I stuck with you the entire ride. It was Google, not Microsoft, that the fiber in Bermuda, though. But we've got some questions from the audience. And tourism's been a hot topic in Bermuda recently. Sean Smith's asking, do you believe your waterfront project is needed more today to help tourism?
Well, yes. I mean, if we had that waterfront property of some semblance of it today, you'd have a different Hamilton, because that would have been filtered through the rest of Hamilton. I always said, back of town will not develop until Front Street. Then it filters back town. Mm-hmm. The government's plan was we'll give concessions to back of town and hope they'll develop. And they haven't developed. I mean, they have cleaned it up a lot, I must say. But the real capital filtration will come when we have the type of activity that brings people here and they enjoy the scene. Bermuda looks old. The place just looks old, tired. We got to make Bermuda get Bermuda untied again. Like we used to go in the Caribbean. I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean. And we used to say, Jesus, man, these little towns are just nothing. I don't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But we did accept the fact that it was in the Caribbean. And we stuck our chest out with arrogance and so forth. Then I saw that same collapse happening in Bermuda.
Mm.
So, I mean, how do we get Recession's House back and open again? That we're proud of our part. You ever been to a parliamentary discussion in an office building?
Mm.
I understand it now start working on Government House. We've got to partner with the international business. Maybe they can help us. We've separated. We said politics is Bermuda's business and international business is their business, foreign business.
Mm.
Well, there's been an integration, a crossover from the foreign business to Bermuda, because most now the big business in Bermuda owned by foreigners, except for maybe the grocery business and supply business. But generally speaking, insurance, banking, law firms, accounting firms, it used to be Bermudian or not Bermudian. So the process has changed, but we're still operating off the old equation.
Mm-hmm.
We're proud that we are Bermudian and that we've got something. Now it's Bermuda and the local businesses that still exist are kept. The ownership is kept very close. So there's very little crumbs falling off the table for small businesses, really. And that's why we haven't had many small businesses. They start and they stop, they start and they stop.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to sort of have an economic czar that says that, these are the things we need and we're going to make sure they happen. And if we have to turn to the international business, since they've now have captured our main sources of income,
mm-hmm.
we have to figure out how they're going to contribute towards our livelihood. And that conversation has now, everybody's afraid of it. Everybody ducks this issue.
Mm-hmm.
They know full well we can't fix our roads and keep our airport going and keep our facilities going with the type of income we're getting. The GDP isn't growing. The debt's not growing because the banks have said enough's enough. We're not lending you any more money. So we have to partner with each other, whether you're government, opposition, or independent members, or citizens across the country. We just need to have a conversation about how we can share ideas and ideals that will fix things. I mean, I've had a business now for the last 63 years this year.
Mm.
It's almost had bankruptcies about 4 times.
Mm.
But I had to figure out how to take, when I was premier, to my business, when we had the crash in 79, almost just before I became premier, I had to figure out how to take it, do it. In 72, 71, 72, when we had the riots, I had to figure out how to take it. The banks cut all loan lending off.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now the lending has been cut off. The medians aren't, except for a few, getting much help from the banks.
Mm-hmm.
The banks are making good money in Bermuda,
mm-hmm.
But they're not putting it back into Bermuda.
Mm.
They got burnt. So have a conversation how we encourage people to meet their commitments, so that they start to feel good. I mean, what we have in Bermuda
mm-hmm.
is the don't feel good factor that all of us almost have bought into.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get like that, it just simply drains the
mm-hmm.
energy out of people, it drains the creativity out of people, it drains the future planning out of people. So I just go ahead and get a job. I might work, I might educate my children.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like I belong to something that's a bigger picture than myself. In fact, I think it's become a picture that's lower than individuals. And everybody looks down on each other instead of looking up at each other.
Well,
change.
We've got quite a few questions coming through for you, Sir John. So just want to get to the audience for some of these questions. But Charles H. Jeffs II, he says, Bermuda has several hotel properties that have been closed or never completed. Should the government find a way to encourage those properties to be developed or redeveloped, even if it is below market value?
Well, it's a redundant question. It has to be yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can't. We just sit on them, have a conversation about them, see something happen for a minute, have a conversation, and then go back to sleep again. We've got to stop this Rip Van Winkle effect. We should be out there looking at things that can be done and be innovative about it. And maybe, we've used up a lot of our pension money, but we haven't got any return out of it because we give it in support of people who don't have anything themselves, and yet we're burnt a lot of our pensions. Pensions are very much in a deficit. But when it comes to using our pensions to develop things that will give us revenue, we haven't. And by the way, that's about the last resort, unless you start getting money from people who are really making money in Bermuda, but do so serendipitously that nobody understands how they do it. There is money being made, and there's money being sent overseas. So this bank accounts are not in Bermuda. And we need to have a conversation about these things. Are we genuinely going to have a Bermuda that's fair for all, or are we going to have a Bermuda that really satisfies the few and pretends that we are doing something for everybody?
Switching gears a bit, we have Rashida Godwin. asking, Sir, is Sir John still for an independent Bermuda and the country moving towards independence, a movement he tried years ago, but it did not succeed?
You know, people keep misinterpreting what I tried to do years ago. Years ago, when I was premier, I had support. We had a cross-fertilization from the opposition members. A lot of opposition members believed in independence. I encouraged them to support me as a leader. And I said that if there's a referendum, if we move to independence, should be a referendum. One of my colleagues in cabinet pushed that to me, and I pushed me in the corner, forced an independence referendum. And that was it. Right now, I am so confused. I'm sure Britain is confused as to where it's going in the Caribbean and where it's going in Bermuda and around the world. What is independence going to do right now? I think we should sort ourselves out right now and try to find out who we really are, and who are our people, and how do they need help. If what you do, you have another layer of suppression, because now you're independent. You stick your chest out, you go around the world. And at the same time, what we need to do now is have a domestic conversation and a foreign policy relationship. So if we ever decide to go independent, we would know who our partners are. We don't, at the moment, our only partners we really have are the international businesses that are in Bermuda already. That's the only partners that we have. Tell me anybody else that's a partner of ours that can add to a value to our institution called Bermuda. And so independence, I'm for it with a referendum. I'll always be for it with a referendum. But, that's up to the public again. That's a public decision. Maybe they should have a referendum, or whether they should have a referendum.
I'm sorry.
Democracy should, we take shortcuts with democracy, and then we say, oh, we're very democratic. Yeah, we take the shortcuts. We say, let's have a referendum on independence. We should have independence. Let's have a referendum on whether we should have a referendum on independence.
I mean, I laugh, but it probably actually makes sense, right? I mean, I know some people are like, oh, that will cost too much money, but I see your point. I definitely see the logic in it.
Yeah, and what we've got to do is, here's a country that says 60,000 people, yes. People use social media and all sorts of things. We shouldn't find it difficult to have a referendum that's done electronically. We've got to have set up all these voting booths and everything else. Your birth certificate, your identification, and you have a code, your own code you put in, and you vote yes or no. And that could be done electronically. And I'm sure the kids at the college could help us enormous with that. We got to rush outside and get some experts out and pay millions of dollars for it. And because we have time now, what we should be thinking about is, how can we cut costs and still produce results and produce a fairer society? Because when people start feeling that they can participate and they can help to make decisions, then they feel as though that they are a part of something. They feel worthy of something, rather than simply say, oh, we'll have a referendum and you just come out and vote for it without the process. And that's for so many other decisions that have been made, that we can't, this arbitrary approach, particularly with our young people. Our young people are different from our older people. Older people are used to being told, you do this and keep your mouth shut. Young people say, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. That's how I feel, and you better listen to me. They are just emerging, and I suspect that probably between now and the next election, the country's political dynamics will change towards young people. And this is very good, by the way, because a person today is 18. 5 years from now, what they'll be 23. And 5 years from then, they'll be 28. So I think that we really need to bring people on board in so many ways. And these things need not to cost money. I mean, I think, everything we do, it's got to cost money. Get the public participating, get the public talking about it, find solutions that they help to create and solve problems with. And then we've got a society that's participatory in all respects, which we don't have now. We don't have to be like somebody else, like America or like England. And, we're a small country. And the nice thing about it is there's a big ocean around us, and we're well defined. And we should then, therefore, make sure, and that applies to whether it's an election voting or not, the registration and registrar and everything else. We could begin to be a good model. And that alone begins to put the spirit back in the people that they really can make a difference. They might produce the same results, but then they'll feel as though, well, the results are the results because I had a chance to participate. When you have less than 50% of the people voting at a general election, and you have 4 parties, the leadership has just got a maybe 30% vote. That's not good. That's bad news.
Yeah,
we do not have a democracy. We have a facility to continue to repeat the same process over and over again. And you've seen that for the last number of years, the election time. And people say, I'm not going to bother to come out and vote because I'm not going to waste my time. But I think the results will be the same. That's what's in people's minds now. The results will be the same. So you'll have the same government, the same opposition, the same issues. Because we haven't changed the facility that gives people a chance to participate. Maybe on big subjects, we should have referendum maybe 2 years or something like that, or every year, of major subjects that are worthy of referendum. And we can have and because it's all done electronically, we could have a referendum on whether we should have a referendum on the subject. So there's a double debate on the subject. And that way, we brought people back into the thing. 50%, 60% of the public out there really are not involved with the political process. They're not involved with the economic process because look at what's happening around the country. And they're not involved with the social process, but yet they give you the impression they dress up nice, they go out, they socialize, go to cricket games, sporting events and everything else like that. But it's not a participatory process. It's almost like I'm doing this because I like this, but if I had another choice, I would pick another choice. You're not given another choice.
Yeah. I got another question. Kajay Matthews asking, what state do you think Bermuda is in from a technological perspective, and what do you think can be done to improve it?
Well, from a technological perspective, I mean, what do they mean? Do they mean the fact that are we using technology to best serve Bermuda? And the answer is no. I mean, the banks are still got customers going on with the cash and dropping in the bank. I mean, we should have long time been encouraged the banks to be, using technology for clients also. But then why should they spend the money when we're not encouraging them? And then you've got the whole technology aspect of being able to track what's going on in Bermuda, and Bermudians know what's going on in Bermuda. And and we're going to have to jump a big hurdle because we're not technologically refined or defined in the state of our affairs how we conduct our business. Now AI is coming along. It's going to jump over the technology that we should have had and produce a new form of technology. So we have a long way to go. And it's just because you have somebody that's maybe a minister of technology, it's not the word that it is. It's not even the position that it is. It is a fact that technology now is taking over. That's when you see Eli Moss talking to people in the Treasury Department and to these other areas of government, FBI. What he's saying is, you folks have been running these operations. You talk about technology, but you still got so much hands-on that you need so many people. And I can cut this thing in half and still produce the same results. They're upset about it because they want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And he's saying you need to make things different because the world is moving in a different direction and we have to be more responsive to it. Well, guess what? We're in the same boat as they are, but we're just much smaller. And, we'll get left behind because there's only two things happen to Bermuda. You either find the money to pay your bills, like any individual has to, or else eventually you go hungry. Now, I'm not sure where we find the money. The United States has oil and gas and minerals and manufacturing. We basically have an insurance industry that's propping up our economy now, probably by we get a direct dollar coming from the United States or from anywhere in the world into Bermuda. And that does not include supermarkets or retail outlets. They are secondary, but the real dollars earned from tourism, which is not in good shape, and international business. Now, international business has now, because we don't have any foreign exchange, they get their pay and everything in the bank accounts, and they're not necessarily the banks in Bermuda. They could be Chase Manhattan, it could be Morgan Stanley, it could be any one of the banks around the world. Barclays Bank, put my money into Barclays Bank. So Bermudians, the foreigner has his foreign account. The Bermudian now has adopted the same thing. So there's very little filtration of capital into Bermuda for the domestic side of the economy. And we need to have a conversation about that. You can't just think that, I need to change. We need to earn more money. We need to do this and do that. The money is here. It's just that it's going in a direction that other people are gaining from. People say, well, we just made $450 million. We just made $45 million or $100 million. I was sitting back here saying, what do we get out of this? We get nothing out of this. We get a registration fee and somebody coming and renting a place. And now that you've changed the rules that say if you got a PRC, you can own the place. We are so far backwards now. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I just want to let you know. We are so far backwards now that we've got to take a quantum leap to get forward. And again, how do you deal with housing? How do you deal with social issues? How do you monetize the individual from an electronic point of view? This is Joe Blow. He's 70 years old. He's diabetic. He's renting a house. He's got so many habits. That all should be electronic. How do we profile that person that we can help that person specifically, as opposed to these throwouts? And you have people now who are hurting, nowhere to turn, and we don't even know who they are. I mean, and when they go to an institution and complain, that gets just pushed aside and so forth. I think that, so when you tell me, how are we going to take and help Bermuda? It's about how Bermudians and how we make Bermuda grow. Is we're going to get Bermudians back into action again, and not just think, well, quietly say, that's their fault. Let's get on with making some money and buy the few at the expense of the many. And that's exactly what's happened. I mean, and people complain. So what? But if I was bringing a dozen eggs in from the United States, I know what eggs sell in the United States. And the wholesaler then provides the retailer with those eggs. And the retailer then has to take those eggs out and provide them with the public. You could electronically trace all that very easily. And either the retailer is making too much money, or the wholesaler is making too much money, or the supplier is making too much money off those eggs. Or it might be the fact that we find out that it has to be that way. So everybody's given up because they think the project's a too big a project. We have no will to use our intellect and do some critical thinking so that we can move the process forward and we'll take maybe a half a dozen products and electronically trace those products. And then we switch electronically to another set of products.
Your camera's down. I'm not sure if you know that. So it's just audio right now. So your camera went off about a few minutes ago, but we can definitely still hear you while that might be able to be corrected. But you were speaking about the economy and the housing and the like, and we have a question you should be able to see on the screen is Charles H. Jeffers II. He's asking, with CIT reportedly coming, should the government offer tax breaks to corporations who assist charities and or government with funding, similar to what happens in the U.S. and other countries?
Well, first of all, I want to see the first receipt of the first amount of money that's going to come this year. I'm hearing things that tell me that that amount of money that we think we'll get, we're not going to get. So unless and government has not really recently talked about the tax money they're supposed to get. You notice it's faded off a bit. Because I think the reality is setting in that it's not going to be as glorious as people think it's going to be. What I worry about is if it doesn't happen, we have a big problem on our hands, because the rating agencies that rate us have really put us on a warning that you need to get revenue up in order to take and reduce your debt. That's why when they go to the bank, whether it applies to an individual, you go to the bank and you're an individual, you're earning X number, and you want to borrow money, the bank wants to find out how you can pay it back. Everybody's into how you're going to pay it back. And when you look at the debt and you look at the assets that have been diminished, in other words, you look at what are our assets? They're not the assets that you think they are. You think these international businesses will be the asset, but we're not getting much money out of them. You look at the pension fund as an asset. That's been diminished. You look at the physical plant of Bermuda, whether it's the airport, hospitals, government facilities, they have not been looked at. So our assets against our debt, if you looked at the debt, really realistically guarantees and everything up around $6 billion. Where are you going to earn money to pay that money back? And there's no way based upon what we now have as an asset income base to pay it back. So we need to change. We've got some tough decisions to make. And those decisions can really affect other people.
Okay. We've got another one from the audience. We've got Michael Daniels asking, is there a possibility of increased local investment by Bermudians?
No. And the reason is very simple. We've passed that stage now because when you sold out Balco and Telco and all those companies out, unless you create some new companies, and what are they going to be? What we need is basically here. It's just that we don't get the benefits of it and we don't get the proper use of it. So just to simply say, let's look around the corner and see if there's anything else that we can invest in. I mean, you don't see the people with money investing in Bermuda, whether it's the traders. They're all just basically running their businesses, but not putting any more money back into Bermuda. The only people putting money back into Bermuda, probably putting money into Bermuda, the Greens, to a certain extent, the Coxes. But you look at a lot of these other places, where's the money going? It's not going back to Bermuda. So to suggest that people with not much money, or those people now, give them a chance to take their money out of Bermuda, they're not going to bring it back to Bermuda. Because there's no excitement, no energy into this place. This place has no energy. I remember when I built this building here, at least the energy was up. And when that energy fell, it really felt like just boom, it went to the bottom very fast. And we haven't had this type of energy put back into Bermuda. At one time we were building 30% of the homes on the island. There was energy around. People wanted to buy apartments. Nowadays, there's no sense in them talking about buying apartments because their income can't afford. The government says, you must first of all look at when you got, let's say you're earning $100. Government said, let's say expenses are $60 or $70. Is there enough left for you to pay your interest and principal reduction on the place you're buying? And the answer is no. So your wealth has stayed, your personal wealth has stayed basically the same, it's not going down. Your expenses have gone up. One time when I was building houses for $240 a square foot, now they tell me it's $1,000 a square foot. We could drop it down. I figured how we could drop it down to maybe $700 a square foot, $600 a square foot. But still, we've got to come up with some innovative ways of doing things because the capital really isn't there for us anymore. And we keep pretending it is. I mean, you figure out, I don't know of any small black contractors anymore out there. And there are very few white small contractors out there anymore in housing, building, and so forth. They're building houses for people who come to Bermuda, and most of them are foreign, who buy these houses and renovate them, and turn them into nice places for themselves. But for local consumption, and believe me, I've been in the business now for 60 years. I got the sniff test, and test tells me it doesn't smell good, and my feeling tells me it doesn't feel good. And nobody really is talking about how we can get out of that trap. So the government should have a conversation with other people, not just me or the leader of the opposition, but overall the community itself. And I think we should record these conversations should be made public, so that people begin to see that we're having a conversation about how we can solve these problems. Maybe we can get the international business, for instance, to subsidize the college. Instead of government doesn't have the money, and the thing is deteriorating. We've had more pharmacies formed. Now insurance companies are buying up medical practices and pharmacists. And these insurance companies used to be local insurance companies, now they're foreign insurance companies. So, there's a lot of things going on in Bermuda that's not in the interest of Bermuda.
Yeah.
People come into Bermuda, whether they marry a Bermudian or whether they are coming here and seeing these opportunities, and they eat them up.
Yeah.
They too will have a rude awakening when they find out that the Bermudian has not been looked at, and there's the consumer. They're the consumer that spends, works, and puts some money back into the economy. And that to me, with inflation, is not producing the net effect, benefits to the capitalist or to the community itself, because it can be positive if it's active and growing, but then it can be negative if it's not growing and it's sitting stagnant. I think we are in a very stagnant stage at this particular time.
Indeed. And Sir John, before we let you go, if this were your last time to engage Bermudians in a public setting, what would you say to them?
Is this what?
If this were your last time you decided to engage Bermudians publicly, what would you say to them?
If this was the last time I engaged Bermudians publicly, what do you want to say? I'll be dead then, huh?
No.
I mean, I can think about it. What you're saying, if I were dead before I died, what would I say to the Bermuda public?
Yeah.
I'd say, I wish you well, goodbye, because I think you're afraid to make good decisions and come to grips with the reality of Bermuda. It's tough. And it's going to be tough. And the government has to be tough. And the public has to be tough. Because right now, the haves are doing remarkably well, and the have-nots are keeping very quiet. And there's no real domestic growth, which means the fact that when the have-nots pass their inheritance down to their children, instead of that growing, it's diminishing. Or the parents sell it off because they got 3 kids, and they sell off what the estate or whatever it is. They got divided between 3 kids, but they get down to your grandchildren. Each one of those has 3 kids, has 9 kids. And if you don't have the growth value meaning the asset value going up, then you're diminishing your value in proportion to the amount of growth you have in the economy. And at the moment, you can see it, that the values are going down. Buildings in the city, it used to be able to get maybe $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million for, now selling for $3 million, $2 million, $4 million. And you can't buy them because the bank's not going to give you the money to buy them. So it's the foreigner who might come in and buy them up. We have to have a realistic conversation, that's all. And I think we can solve the problem. But it can't be solved just by saying, I know what I'm doing, leave me alone, let me do it. We're at a big crossroad now. And I think that the government, I hope it really means what it says, that it's going to collaborate with the public as a whole to try to look for solutions to some of these problems. And maybe, the waterfront project would have cost us a third of what it would cost today. We need to replace that causeway, at least create something. I had an idea how to do the causeway, to, instead of building a bridge, produce something that didn't cost a lot of money for us, and things of that type. But if you're not having a conversation with the government of the day and sharing ideas, and they reject them because they, for various reasons, but you don't ever feel as though you have, your doors are wide open. That's what we have to do, open doors up wide open to each one of us. I think we'll get Bermuda back on its feet, but we can't have a closed thought and a closed process and expect us to sort of have a conversation but do nothing about it.
We have one last question from the audience. Paulie Rich says, what is Sir John's view on building differently here? That is prefab or concrete foundation, outer walls, but maybe inside the wood walls on houses, things to make building less expensive?
That's a very good question. That's something I've been playing around with. We have a set of laws, and I can say it, how we can help with this housing problem, but the banks have to still be involved, whether we can borrow the money or not. We have historically said that houses should have a roof on them. The size of the house itself that catches an average amount of rain per year, it goes to the tank that will supply that size the house with the water it needs. Well, that law was passed many, many, many years ago. Since then, Bermuda has been connected to the main water system itself. So it doesn't need water from the tank for flushing, for many things, gardening and so forth anymore. So, but we still have the same size tanks. So my suggestion would be, if I, just one example, would be that we look at the law. Planning should look at houses that have space for expansion, reduce the size keep the same size of the tank, provided the house is connected to the waterworks or to the government waterworks, central water system itself. And then people could then use the existing building but add on to them. The cost then would be probably half of what it is today, because you don't have to put in any building of the tank. You don't have to take the electric. Most electrics are there. You connect them up to the electrics. And you can put apartments, therefore you can build apartments onto the houses and rent them out. And you can, because you are already occupying the house, you can then reduce that mortgage So when it comes time for retirement, you've got something to do with it. That was my experience, by the way, back in the 80s, or I should say 70s and 60s. Another little small boxes I built, 800 square feet, 900 square foot boxes, they used to call John Swan's boxes. And we built across the country, masses of them. People took those boxes eventually and added on to them. And that became their retirement income in many cases. And they exist today. And I have people often tell me, my grandmother or my father told me that, or my whoever was, that you helped them get the house that we live in. And we've got an apartment to it now. When they bought that house, they just bought a cottage with a minimum size lot. If I found an acre, I divided it into 5 lots. And we built these houses, but people added on to these houses, and that was from Somerset and Georges and Davis and everything else. We just lost the innovativeness of doing things, and we put most of our contractors out of business. They're going out of business because there was no way that people could afford to buy what they were building, because we were building on inflation as opposed to building on innovation. Now we've got to go back from inflation to innovation, which cuts down inflation.
Yeah, indeed. Sir John, it's been a pleasure having you once again. I just we did have a question. I couldn't find it, but basically with the Premier of Bermuda, David Burt, meeting with the opposition leader and the FDM leader, has there been any contact from the Premier with yourself? And are you willing to have those conversations as well, or are you done with politics?
Well, I won't be running again for any politics. After all, I'll be 90 in July. But what I can say to you is the fact that I love Bermuda, and I'm prepared to share, have a conversation about many things in Bermuda. So yeah, I'm open to, but people approach me and ask me questions. I'll only give them my best, but then it's up to them to take it and use it. That's why I supported the independents, hoping that somehow or the other might be a coalition that would form, that everybody participates in the political process, and that we find ways in which we can share ideas and ideals and do things together. Because there are solutions to the problems. There's no way you can tell me that we don't have a solution to our problem. But if we are limited that thought process to a few and a few less, who don't have that hand-in or hand-on with the economic and the social and the facilitation of a process, the end result is that we don't get anywhere. And that last question was a very good question, is the fact that, yeah, there is a solution to the housing problem. There's a solution to Balfour's problem. In fact, I gave it to them. We don't need to have this big mass plant over there. We can have a plant in St. George's with LNG gas, and one in Morgan's Point with LNG gas. The boats could cover up to the point and do it. We take the LNG plant that's in Pembroke now, if they haven't played around, damaged it any, and we can use one in one spot, one in the other spot. But you go to people and you tell them, look, this is what I suggest. We start thinking about it and try to get it. But you never hear back from them. Never hear back from them at all. And so I put so many propositions, as the waterfront down in Hamilton. Did the whole project, cost me maybe $50,000, $60,000, no more than that. Cost me maybe $100,000. That was back 20 years, 30 years ago. Fixed up number 6 dock for people to see it, put a contest on. Everybody loved it. Corporation never became down and looked at it. We have a sense of arrogance. If it's not my project, then it's not worth listening to or doing something about it. So I hope that we have realized the fact that what that leads to is what we see in Bermuda now. This is not any way to denigrate the city. They've done a pretty good job of keeping the roads and everything, but the infrastructure and the buildings and the growing of Hamilton has been on a hold for the last 30 years. We've got one project now going up there on Front Street. The foreigner had to come into it. We locals didn't have the wherewithal because all our assets are either overseas or else we don't have anything to send overseas. That is not a way to run a country. And that's what I think Trump's trying to say is you need to get your hands on your own affairs. And you make sure that your own affairs are doing what they're supposed to do. Now, his method might not be what one would agree with. But the reality is sometimes, you've got to take and be pretty tough if you want to get something done. So I've seen the soft approach, bringing people to Bermuda, have them have jobs, give them PRCs, give them overseas dependent territory, citizenships, rights, and all that type of stuff. And so the international business grows and grows and grows, while domestic business, meaning the domestic Bermudian, doesn't get a piece of the action.
Yep.
And that, to me, I just found it hard to absorb. I mean, I had to make a decision years ago how I was going to restructure my business. I had a lot of retail type business, maybe about 5 or 6 of them. And all they did was have problems, staff problems. If you want a foreigner, you had to get a work permit, and it was always a question whether you get it or not. Those days seem to have gone now.
Yeah.
So the local businesses, so I sold them all. And got into back to where I started from, real estate development and the city, office buildings. Because I built the largest apartment complex. People said to me, oh boy, 60 apartments. You've got a lot of apartments. I said, yes, I got a lot of headaches too. So I decided I would sell them. Why? Because you couldn't sell them to foreigners at that time. And the locals didn't have the money to buy.
Right.
So I found a way to sell them off. And I took that money and put it down there on Front Street. That's where I'm sitting right now, in the building here. So, there are ways Bermuda can do things. But when you have a single-minded process of, we won the election, it's our job not to run the country. We're not interested in your opinion. And that's why I'm glad they've said, look, we'll be open now. Not open to your opinion. I think you cut off by maybe 2/3 of the thinking process in the country because half the population doesn't feel as though that will be welcome. Another 25% feel as though that they looked upon as adversaries. And so you got 25% running things and deducting their thoughts from how they see things. And the end result is we always get caught short. And that's where we are right now. We are in a caught short situation. But we can get out of it. That's no doubt about it. And I hope before I pass away from this land, this beautiful country, that we can see the beginnings of it because and I think that with the government and with the PLP and the leader, whoever that might be in the future since the Premier is leaving, that they will be more facilitating in looking at that instead of looking outside for our solutions. I think we have to look inside first. There is a lot of money in Bermuda, billions of it. There is a lot of opportunities in Bermuda. But you have to figure out how to take advantage of those opportunities or make those opportunities available to the public. So a few people have done that. They've done remarkably well.
Yeah.
But, you know, the average Bermudian long term, he's run over to England. I see they're coming back because things over there are not what they thought they were. And I think that they come back here and they're saying, well, maybe there might be hope. I hope there is hope for them to come back in big numbers and make their contribution to Bermuda.
Final question for you, head out. I know, you know, people have their strong opinions about politics, but one thing that just seems certain is that you were Bermuda's longest serving premier. You've been a successful businessman, and for what it's worth, many people are grateful to what you've done economically, despite what you're by your own admission as well, maybe where we may have fell short socially. But you know, you came back. You know, at 89 years old, you returned to politics, and though you didn't win a seat or any of the independents didn't win, you definitely felt the shift. And you know, we know politics is not about the short term. There's a shift. When it comes to politics, how do you think Sir John Swan's going to be remembered, and how do you want to be remembered for your contribution?
Well, you know, when I do something, I do it because I feel the need to do it, not the need to get anything out of what I do. I do produce some results, hopefully, in a spiritual way, in a physical way. I think that that's a decision by the public itself. I mean, you know, it's not that I have any desire to sort of feel as though I have to stick my head up in the air and puff around and so forth. I mean, I've tried to get recognition by the Queen back in 1990, 1920, and 2016. I got recognition by the country for my contribution. I think I'm very grateful for it. But then I had a deputy premier say that, you know, that I'm uneducated, uninformed, and a wannabe national hero. Now that stripped a lot of sort of, you know, they're the government. And that stripped a lot of my feeling that maybe, you know, I'm just not welcome into the sphere of things itself. And all I've done is try to do what's best for Bermuda, not for myself. I've been able to do well for myself, and but I want to do what's best for Bermuda. But you know, you gotta be a part of the planning process for that to happen. I must say that has not happened, and so I have, you know, still continue to do my best for Bermuda, both locally and internationally. I still participate in overseas meetings with key people on different issues and so forth. But I'm off to Washington in April to speak to a very key group of people. And I just think that somehow or the other, we have a compartmentalized process in Bermuda. You're either for me or you're against me. And the end result is, when you're in your own country and it's small, you're either for me or you're against me. It means the fact that if you don't comply with what I want done, then you're against me. Gotta get out of it. Either you're for me or against me. That's all of us before Bermuda and how best we can serve Bermuda. Open, frank discussion. Maybe what we should have is a public conference discussion every once a month on subjects that are really relevant to Bermuda. We might not be able to all come to a conclusion, we might not all agree, but we know that subject's on the agenda, it's on the table. And it's not designed to be adversarial in the process, but be solution solving. I mean, you know, that's what I like about these international businesses. Oh, they are solution solving. They look for solutions. They confront them and they get on with them. We think every time we do something, we got to throw politics in it. You know, my party versus your party, or my party versus this, or your individual versus this. A one-upmanship, they call it. And the end result is we never come to any conclusions. So I hope we can get away from that one-upmanship and get into making sure we get the ship steady and working. And I think that there are enough ideas out there that can solve that problem. And once the international business sees us, and that's where our bread and butter is. Once they see us really steadying our ship and cordially working together and so forth, they'll want to participate and help us to get out of this mess that we're in. We're in a hell of a mess. And I think because you don't see it, and there's so much noise around what the mess is, that nobody has a chance to really evaluate the mess and the consequence of it. But we are in trouble.
Yeah.
They say if you're in trouble and you turn your back and don't ignore it, and I've seen people happen to people all over, eventually it's a disaster for you and then a disaster for your family.
Indeed.
I think that we can solve Bermuda's problems through dialogue, who can come up with the best ideas, and those ideas being embraced, but it should be a public forum, maybe once a month. Doesn't have to be John Swan, it could be Joe Blow from Bacatown, it could be international, and we should include international business into it. But once a month we have a dialogue so that party politics is about legislation and what we think is a critical point in the agenda. But the subjects are brought forward. And I think what you'll see is a better educated Bermudian, a better educated foreigner, but a foreigner Bermuda is being able to sit down and have a conversation about what's going on in our country. That's the only way I think we can get this thing going. So collaboration to me is not just being behind closed doors, come up with an idea, and the time I walk out there doing this happened to me, that something's forgotten about. So we're not really sort of doing justice to our conversation. We are. I think it should be open, held in a public place, whether it's City Hall or some people have a public audience. Control the audience. Tell them, you're here to listen. Maybe if you want to write in to, after you've heard it, come writing in with your suggestions. But you're not here to have this banter back and forward take place. That all the doors is just locks one against the other. So it would have to be an orchestrated, carefully laid out plan. That is not only is it presented, but it's transmitted across the country. So that Bermuda gets back into the conversation. You look at any family that has conversation together. I have my 3 kids in my business, 3 of them, not 1, not 2, but 3. And we have conversations about the business itself. So when I depart, it's going to be an easy transition. They know what the role they play. They know what the business is. They know that, what it's going to contribute to their lives. They know there's no big windfall for them to think that they can go out and buy a yacht and an airplane, all that type of stuff. But we've had conversations about it. I think Bermuda needs to have, and I've always said, the big conversations. But I'm saying to you, let's break it up into 12 a year. The government's involved, the opposition, the international business, and people from the community.
Indeed.
You'll be surprised how that will lead to other conversations, whether in houses or other forums, because all of them sudden now are looking for solutions. Revisiting some of the things that were suggested, whether it's a waterfront project or whether it's a gaming project. Nobody knows about what's happening with the gaming thing. There's something about it and why the authority keeps existing when there's nobody. In fact, I think all the applications have been withdrawn. Is it because there's another reason? Let's be honest about it. If it is, let's tell the public. Let's have an open, honest dialogue. And there are so many other things that happen. Education shouldn't be in a state as in, but we haven't had a dialogue about education. We've had a confrontation about education, but we haven't had a dialogue about education. When you take and provide the facts and information, here are the options. And I know you have your emotional feelings about where your kid should go to school. And if your kid did go to school using the option that you think it should be, what will be the benefit to the child as opposed to the option that somebody else might have? It doesn't necessarily be government that the kid can benefit from. And maybe eventually all the schools should be public schools, supported by some of these international businesses, and have their name taken on the school itself. I mean, it's okay to say, Victor Scott School, Victor Scott was my headmaster and everything else. But maybe it should be X company school who supports that school program and really helps to bring forward much more in what's going on in the reality. And the kids start growing up thinking, oh, that company supports me, and I one day look forward to working in that company. What we've done is we've cut off the vision. We've killed the vision. You have to expect to get the results. You can't. The vision goes with the results. The results goes with the vision. So there are ways we could get things done. And we're not talking about big money coming from these companies, but they would feel proud too, if I said, would be the college, so that government doesn't have to go out there and tax. It goes out there and seeks support for benefits. I mean, I know this, at the college, there's a program at the college right now on the science program. It's supported by international business. I mean, and it's a real good program. And they put their resources into it. Now, if they can do it, others can do it.
Yes, indeed. Right. So, John, we've got to run. But again, you've given us a lot to think about and consider. A lot for us as a community to, do our part. As you said, I mean, I think the election was a lack of us doing our part. But we still have an opportunity by holding people accountable and understanding the role we play, regardless of what our profession is. So I appreciate the information that you're always willing to share with us, making the time to engage our audience and have these important conversations. So thank you so much for this morning, and we hope that we can have you on again. We always appreciate you. The audience appreciates you. Thank you for your time, sir.
My pleasure, and keep up the good work. I've always been an admirer of yours because you don't pull any punches. You say that, you see it as you see it. Keep it up.
Thank you, Sir John. I'll be in touch. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
All right. Sir John Swan, folks, appreciated that conversation. If you appreciate it, always makes time for us. If you appreciated the conversation today and the engagement, do us a favor, whatever platform you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram. Give us a like, love, follow, share. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back in about 2 minutes, 32 seconds, and we'll have a daily play, and I'll wrap it up with my daily inspiration. Stick with us.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Noah's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Join us as we celebrate 5 years and 1,000 plus episodes of community conversations on Bermuda's daily talk show. The Daily Hour Gala takes place on April 26th at LF Wade International Airport. For more information and advance tickets, please send an email to admin@bermudacommunications.com. We look forward to celebrating all that's great about our community with all of you.
All right. Who was the first woman to become not just the first female opposition leader in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Good job.
Hey, buddy.
Hun, who was the first woman to serve as opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Mason, what did you say?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Dame Lois Brown Evans. Where do you find that?
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Oh, honey. I'm so proud of you. Good job.
It's true. Children are a reflection of their environment. Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Fun with a purpose. To educate, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, to learn, and to enjoy. Bermuda Trivia. All volumes now available at various stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com to learn more and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Time for the daily. Well, thanks again to Sir John for stopping by. Wealth of information. Thank you all for the questions and the comments and engaging Sir John throughout the conversation this morning. And thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. Folks, don't forget to like, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure as many people as you know have access to these important community conversations. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, here we go. It is Bermuda Trivia today. Bermuda Trivia question. In what year did Sir John leave his role as Premier of Bermuda? Not 96, Charles. It was 95. Rashida Godwin and Polly Rich. 1995. You are correct. Renee Simmons. Nope. Not 97. Not 96. Sheldon Fox. Yep. Charles got it right. Second time around. 95. All right, folks. We've got to get out of here. So here's wrap it up by saying this morning. I, like most of you, cautiously optimistic about the collaborative approach by Premier David Burt. I'm hopeful that these conversations and the engagement between our political leaders, regardless of where they stand, will lead to what looks like and feels like a better Bermuda for all. Although that may differ for each person, I am hopeful that a better Bermuda means everyone will get their needs met in some respect. As far as the conversation with Sir John Swan, I always appreciate the time he makes, the honesty as it relates to what we need to do to make Bermuda work economically and socially. Look, we don't know, we may not agree with everything that others want to do, but that's where we enter the conversation. That's where we're allowed to add our input and find a way to a solution that works for most of us. All right, here's your daily inspiration. Quote, life will not postpone our death, so let us not postpone our life. And that is author unknown. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a great and a safe day. We are is out. Peace.